nothing changes, we both still have one Bitcoin, right? That's sort of revolutionary because in digital, something else I'm sure you've heard with NFTs, right, is I can just right click, copy and paste, and now I have it too. What Bitcoin sort of did that changed the game and set off the whole blockchain trend was introduced digital scarcity, as Andy mentioned. Because of the blockchain, there's no central entity, there's no one source of truth. Everybody in this room, if you chose to, we would all be the source of truth. How many people here have ever used like Google Sheets or Google Docs or something like that? All right, so let's think Google Sheets. Like Bitcoin is literally Google Sheets, but now let's take Google out of the equation. So we have this one long spreadsheet we're working on, and it's just, we're all hosting our own copy. And if I want to see what happened next, my computer just sort of reaches out to some of your computers and sees what you guys say. And whoever's got like the longest, the most information, like that's the truth. And now we have this single source of truth.
If one person's lying, everyone else will see that. Oh, you know, that was the odd one out, so
Correct.
that was kicked off. So
Exactly.
as long as the majority is saying the same sheet, then
Right.
we're all agreeing, and that's what happens.
And so all the other technobabble is just that. That's really how simple this really is. The math behind it gets pretty complex because it uses cryptography. So, you know, when you go to your bank, that little green lock that you used to see, now they abstracted that away. Same technology, right? At its core. But who cares about that stuff? That's complex, and I don't like math. We leave that to the computer scientists amongst us. That's all it is. But now, what can you do with that besides something like Bitcoin? And that's where sort of NFTs sort of come into play. How can you take something that's fungible, make it unique, and then attach value to it, right?
Yeah, someone thought, okay, we have this coin. What if we kind of like made another kind of copy of that thing, and then we could attach like data to it? And people were actually experimenting with that way in the beginning.
Right.
And now it's really kind of flourished into a bigger ecosystem.
So a question I'll ask that I'm sure a lot of other people want to know is, so that's cool and all, but like, isn't NFT really like, if I took this picture here and digitized it, made it a JPEG, that's the NFT?
It's really whatever the artist says it is. And so, and when you mint an NFT, what's important to realize is that there's a specific account or private key that is minting it. And so often you'll know a particular artist's private key, and you can prove that that artist, that famous artist, minted that asset. And so
Private key, that's more that cryptographic,
Yeah.
green lock stuff. Go ahead.
it's a secret number that only that person knows. So, so then you could say, oh, you know, well, if let's say Picasso were still alive today, Picasso minted that NFT, and so if he says that that's the provenance for his new artwork, then everyone can agree that that's the truth.
Would you say that's sort of like in the art realm? Sometimes you might have a gallery or curator or something sort of give a certificate of authenticity, right?
Right.
Would you say that's sort
Exactly
of
right.
the same thing?
For sure. And it's only as good as the person who's giving up that certificate of authenticity, but that's still valid.
So I would suggest maybe that the power of that blockchain, that Google Sheet document without the Google, why you would build it on there is who becomes that curator, right? We don't need an individual person to tell me my art is worth something. The entire network is authenticating that.
Decentralized curation.
Decentralized curation.
Yeah, that's happening for sure right now. It's the first time it's happening.
Right.
I think one of the interesting things about this technology is a lot of this stuff. It's like a lot of talk. Like people, like, what's the value of this stuff?
Right.
What's the value of Bitcoin? I think the thing to understand a lot of stuff, it's like a network. It's like how we all interact. Like the only reason to really have these unique digital assets or the ability to say that this artist created this NFT is the fact that like I actually got this thing from them, and there's like some sort of connection with that. There's like, that's like the real value, and why these things are interesting to me, and I think a lot of people, and why they become such a big thing. Actually, I just looked this up. Last year, it's a wide range of the amount of sales of NFTs. It ranges anywhere from $14 billion to $40 billion worth of NFT sales, which compared to the fine arts market in 2020 was $50 billion. So it's in that year it nearly approached the sales of fine art. So it's huge. And this year it's hard to see, it's hard to know where the data's at, but it's something big, and we'll see where these communities and the networks how this value continues to grow.
I was having a conversation with an artist the other day who also brought up the high value of some of it. And the opinion that I sort of agreed with is that's dumb. Why is somebody paying $1 million for a monkey picture? Right? The answer.
Well, yeah, there are different types of NFTs now. People are experimenting with what you can do with them. So some people are finding you can use them as like a club, a pass to get in a membership, and then in those cases, yeah, sometimes the actual artwork looks really silly, like a picture of an animal. But there's also a whole range, a whole wide, very strong ecosystem of actual artwork, and some people are buying these NFTs just for the art of the history of the story. And so there are different kind of subdivisions of NFTs, definitely, I would say. And what I have up here is some slides showing some of the art side of NFTs, and actually just to show that there really are like very impactful new things happening to the art world just because of this like renaissance of crypto. I mean, one really cool facet of this is there's a huge flux of money that's being dumped into these artists' pocket to make new great art, because some of the people who invested in crypto early have, quite a bit of money to spend, and they're obviously browsing the crypto art because they're into crypto in general. And so that's been great. So there's a lot that's been really like an invigoration in the art world. So now artists, have this other kind of faucet of money to pull from it. Collectors like NFTs because it's so much easier to put it on the secondary market. If you buy physical fine art, it can be pretty difficult to resell that, to bring it somewhere physically and prove that it's real. But if you have an NFT and you want to resell it, it's so easy. You know that it's authentic. You can sell it with a couple clicks of your button in your pajamas and your bed. So, and it's so visible. Everyone's seeing it across the world. It's not
Yeah, as you know, that's one of the things as you talk about private keys. If I wanted to verify this is really your artwork, like I know this is their NFT, but how do I know it's you? You can simply like just sort of sign that, right? You can broadcast a message to the network that only you would be able to broadcast and be tied to that piece of art.
Yeah, so you can prove to services that you own a particular NFT.
Right.
So there's digital art galleries that you can set up, and you can only show art that you're proving to that system that you actually own.
It's not just like checking a box saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the owner."
It's not like Instagram where you can just add anything to your gallery. You have to actually.
One interesting thing that I think happened, kind of point this out a little bit. So all these how many people are here familiar with Bored Ape Club? So basically, it's these monkeys, as we're all indicating, these silly monkeys that have all these different characteristics. And this project blew up out of nowhere. I think they're valued at $100,000 a piece about now. They got
Eminem got one.
Yeah, Eminem got one. A bunch of famous people got into it. And one project that somebody thought would be interesting is they created these mutant apes. So they took the properties that were associated with all of these bored apes, and they mutated them, and then gave that art to the people that actually owned it. And so there's like all these like interesting, creative ways that people can engage with the people that actually own it.
Like remixing art.
So I can go, any of us could go and do the same exact thing and just send them this art and engage with them in that way.
It builds a finite community. Yeah. But I guess besides that, so these are some. This is an artist out of Oregon named he calls himself Pop Wonder that makes these beautiful illustrations. And some of the most prized crypto art is stuff that was minted early and it's also like really good. So it's like strong and early. So a lot of people agree Pop Wonder falls in that category. This other illustrator, or Acid, is in the same, is collected by a lot of prominent people in the crypto community. This is Lurk and Destroy, who's another illustrator, and actually his name is Jason, he's a muralist, and I actually met him here a week ago, and these are his works here. So he makes his physical art, he also paints murals all over the US, and he also decided, he can't be here today, he's actually painting murals somewhere. He decided to put some of his art on a website called Foundation and sell it as an NFT that way. And he's had a lot of success there. He's into that. This is a piece called Benzinga by Tyler Hobbs, and this was revolutionary because it was one of the first really beautiful generative artworks. So there's 1,000 of these, and basically they're all a little bit different, but they're all follow the same kind of algorithm. It uses this thing called flow, like flow lines, and that was one of the first kind of uses of that.
So you said he had like 1,000 of them, right?
They're all different.
All different. The comparison I used to tell people about art, I don't know if you guys would agree, is if you took any one of these pieces, I'll just keep pointing to this one because it's the closest one to me. You could take this, of course this one has some kind of value because the artist made it, and they probably can't make an exact replica of